Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we do another deep dive into Prime Video. And let's get to the list!
All the chips are down.
You've taken everything from me! Andy! I need Rent-A-Pal!
That's why I'm here for you, pal.
Rent-A-Pal is a 2020 horror thriller written and directed by John Stevenson. It stars Will Wheaton, Brian Landis-Folkens, and Kathleen Brady. It's about a lonely bachelor named David, who finds friendship with a strange VHS tape. However, the friendship comes at a cost, and David desperately struggles to pay the price.
Hi, I'm Andy. Thanks for being here today. I have been waiting for this moment for what feels like forever. To friendship.
This is such a quirky, uncomfortable, awkward movie. Even from the way it's shot, the acting style, the time period it's from, it just feels strange and uncomfortable. And it's cool because I hadn't seen it pop up on a streaming service in quite a while, and I really like it. I mean, it's definitely not going to be for everyone. It does have a very awkward, quirky vibe, and it is a bit of a slow burn in a way too, so because it's much more dialogue than it is action or anything like that. But little by little it gets more creepy as things escalate, and it gets more and more unhinged. But if you're someone like me that really enjoys the weird, strange, unique things that come at you with a different flavor and from a different perspective, then I think you should definitely check this one out. Sputnik is a 2020 Russian sci-fi horror movie, directed by Igor Abraminko in his feature directorial debut. It stars Oksana Akashina, Peter Fedorov, and Fyodor Bondarchuk. The lone survivor of a spaceship incident didn't return home alone. Hiding inside his body is a dangerous creature. Some of my favorite movies of all time are sci-fi horror movies. Just, there's something about that unknown, about space and aliens and all that, especially the alien kind of sci-fi stuff. It just really has that unknown, creepy quality that I really dig. And this is one of the better ones and more unique ones we've had in the last few years. Because this goes in a lot of different directions and really surprised me. I did not expect it to go where it goes and at what level it does. I also really enjoy the alien entity type of thing, the way it looks, the style of it, the way it's shot. I found everything about this movie to be entertaining. It is a little bit on the slower side, especially as it gets going, but the final act of this especially really ramps up and is definitely not boring. So if you're a fan of sci-fi thriller horror movies, this is one you should definitely add to your list.
When I think about all the things I've done in my life without in any way resulting in punishment.
The House That Jack Built is a 2018 psychological horror movie. Written and directed by Lars von Trier, it stars Matt Dillon, Bruno Ganz, and Uma Thurman. A failed architect and vicious psychopath named Jack recounts his elaborately orchestrated murders, each as he views them a towering work of art that defines his life's work as a serial killer.
You might as well be a serial killer. Sorry, but you do kind of look like one.
So this is a dark movie. This is one of the more disturbing, dark movies you'll see me talk about on this channel. Because a lot of the more darker, upsetting, really fucked up movies, I just don't really talk about. Because for me, a lot of those are just about hype. They're just, you know, they're purposely created to just make you feel as gross as possible. They're not trying to be a good movie. They're just simply trying to be as disturbing as they can. And to each is their own. That's fine if that's your jam. But That's not what I enjoy about movies. That's not what I like to recommend when it comes to movies. So even though this movie is really disturbing, really unsettling, and one that not everybody is going to dig, I still think it's worth talking about, and one that I do recommend because it's so well acted, it's so well directed, it looks phenomenal, the story is really interesting, and even though you're following a serial killer, the way it's put together, the way it shows him and puts you kind of in this mind of this psychopath, I think is brilliantly done. I'm not always a fan of Lars von Trier's work. He is a little pretentious with the way he makes movies, and so some of them are just a little bit of a slog. But to me, this one is a work of art. This one really did get to me, really disturbed me, but in a way that I still appreciated. I could still definitely appreciate the quality of movie that this is. To me, I put this in that same category as a movie like Martyrs, the original one, not the American remake, but a movie that still has a place, is still worth seeing, even though it might upset you and bother you and stick with you, and you might not really have fun with it, it is still really, really well put together, well crafted. I also think Matt Dillon is phenomenal in this movie, and just his performance alone makes this worth checking out. So just be warned, if you haven't seen this, it gets really, really disturbing. So don't say I didn't warn you, but if that sounds like something that you would enjoy, I think it's absolutely worth your time.
She was right. I am dangerous.
The Neon Demon is a 2016 psychological horror movie. Directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, it stars Elle Fanning, Jenna Malone, and Christina Hendricks. Jessie is an aspiring model and new to Los Angeles. However, her beauty and youth generate intense fascination and jealousy within the fashion industry, and may prove sinister.
What's it feel like? You walk into a room, it's like in the middle of winter. You're the sun.
This is a gorgeous movie with an absolutely stunning cast, and I really appreciate the direction that it goes, because it's really glossy and glamorous and gorgeous on its surface, on the front. But then as you slowly move through the movie, it gets more and more dark as you see the underbelly of the industry, as you see the corruption and evil, sinister qualities that are there. But I was really surprised in the directions that this takes, especially how unhinged it gets. There's some wild things that happen. There's great imagery, things that'll stick with you. It's well performed by this whole cast, especially Elle Fanning, who I've become a big fan of. Everything I'm seeing with her in it, she just seems to get better and better as time goes by. I think this movie is fantastic and one that I highly recommend.
We'll see.
This is a wild game of survival.
The Hunt is a 2020 satirical horror thriller. Directed by Craig Noble, it stars Betty Gilpin and Hilary Swank. 12 strangers wake up in a clearing not knowing where they are or how they got there, and they have no idea they've been chosen for a very specific purpose.
Are we the hunters?
What is all of this?
Or are we the prey?
Oh, I can't use that.
Just point and shoot.
So it's a trip. A lot of people, I think, have avoided this movie and never ended up watching this because they are either sick of politics like me. I'm not a fan of politics at all. I don't talk about it on this channel. It's not my jam. Or people have avoided it because they heard it was woke or they heard it was this or that. Don't listen to any of that. This movie is making fun of all of that. And unfortunately, a lot of people just don't get satire, which always confuses me. I just don't understand how you cannot understand satirical comedy. You may not think it's funny, it may not be your jam, but I don't get how people would just not understand that it's there and watch something like this movie and think that it's coming at them completely straight. Because this is far from straight. It's trying to just make fun of the people that are on the extremes. Not your average Joe, but the extremes. So not only did I find the movie to be funny, but beyond all of that, even if you put that part aside, it's got some great action in it, some fun gore, a lot of surprises. It does some wild things that I just did not see coming. There is a lot of, twists and turns throughout that'll keep you kind of off kilter and trying to figure out who's who and what is this and who is doing what and why they're doing this and just a lot of fun things like that. So if you just go into this with an open mind, just looking to have fun and not worry too much about actual politics, I think you could have a lot of fun with this. So definitely do yourself a favor and check this out.
Do not translate this message. Not translate. Just listen to me.
Pontypool is a 2008 Canadian horror movie, directed by Bruce McDonald and based on the 1994 book Pontypool Changes Everything. It stars Stephen McHattie, Lisa Hall, and Georgina Riley. The plot's about a radio station host who interprets the possible outbreak of a deadly virus, which infects the small Ontario town he is stationed in.
We still do not have an official version of these events, and it's very difficult at this moment to get a fix on what has happened.
This is such a unique, interesting movie because the whole thing is from the perspective of this radio host and his little small crew there, because they can't see on the outside. They are only getting the information that's being phoned in to them or the things they can basically see from their front door. They don't have a full view of the city or what is exactly happening. And so it almost has that War of the Worlds radio broadcast thing, but from the opposite point of view, where you're relying completely on that outside perspective, not what you can actually see as the people reporting the news. And so even with that real simple premise, I'm telling you, it is anything but simple. It gets more and more complex and layered and really is just a lot of fun, very intense, a real nail biter, especially in the final act. And Stephen McHattie is just fantastic in this. I really enjoy him in everything I've ever seen him in. It's really a shame that he has never gotten any really big roles because I think he's a fantastic actor. But he is so much fun in this, so is the rest of the cast. This is a great movie. This really is an absolute gem. So if you've never seen this, do yourself a favor and make this the next thing that you watch.
You can't save me.
Last Night in Soho is a 2021 British psychological horror movie. Directed by Edgar Wright and co-written by Wright and Christy Wilson Carnes. It stars Thomasin McKenzie, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Matt Smith. An aspiring fashion designer is mysteriously able to enter the 1960s, where she encounters a dazzling singer, but the glamour is not all it appears to be, and the dreams of the past begin to crack and splinter into something dark and haunting.
Last night, I saw something in my dreams.
This is such a gorgeous movie, and it's one of those ones that I just don't understand why it isn't given more love, why this isn't a more popular movie, because I think it's absolutely stunning. It goes in some really unique directions. It's got a real mystery, whodunit kind of vibe going on, where you just don't quite know what's going on, yet it's supernatural in ways. It's surprising. The performances are fantastic in this. Anya Taylor-Joy is just absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous in this film. And Thomasin McKenzie does a great job of being that wide-eyed young college student who is blown away by everything she's seen, but yet fun and emotional and charming. And if you ever get a chance to check out some of the behind the scenes on how they were able to pull off a lot of the effects in this, so much of what was done in camera. There's this dance scene and they're actually switching kind of off camera. It's just really cool to see. This is a well done, creative, imaginative movie that you definitely should check out.
Sometimes dead is better.
Pet Sematary Bloodlines is a 2023 supernatural horror movie, directed by Lindsay Anderson Beer in her directorial debut. It serves as a prequel to Pet Sematary from 2019, which is based on the 1983 novel of the same name by Stephen King. It stars Jackson White, Henry Thomas, and David Duchovny. In 1969, a young Judd Crandall and his childhood friends band together to confront an ancient evil that has gripped their hometown of Ludlow.
First place I learned about death was a pet cemetery. The secret place.
So I don't get the hate. I don't understand why this movie was so shit on. Okay, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's an amazing or great movie or anything like that. I'm just saying it's entertaining. I did have a good time with this. I think it did some really cool things. But I also put out of my head the original Pet Sematary movie because this is not connected to that. This is trying to be a prequel to the 2019 one, which I wasn't even that big of a fan of. So mostly I just kind of watched this movie with an open mind and just enjoyed it for what it is, as something that's just kind of playing in that universe. And I thought it took some pretty big swings, not all of them that knocked it out of the park, but I did find it to be interesting. I liked the mood, the way it looks. There's some really creepy moments, some creepy characters. It just had a really cool atmospheric vibe about it that I really enjoyed. It's not one to overthink or pick apart, because if you do, it won't work. But if you can go into it with an open mind, just looking to have fun and relax to a popcorn kind of horror movie, I think it's worth your time.
Just think, maybe if she did do blowjobs, she'd still be alive.
Yeah, let's not make that the lesson.
Totally Killer is a 2023 comedy slasher horror movie. Directed by Nahnatchka Khan, it stars Kiernan Shipka, Olivia Holt, and Julie Bowen. When the infamous Sweet 16 killer returns 35 years after his first murder spree to claim another victim, 17-year-old Jamie accidentally travels back in time to 1987, determined to stop the killer before he can even start.
I'd like to report a crime that hasn't happened yet. Have you seen the movie Back to the Future? Basically, I'm living that movie right now.
What an incredibly fun movie this is. This was one of my favorites from last year, because it just never took itself serious. It really is a breezy watch, one that if you enjoy slashers like Scream and you enjoy movies like Back to the Future, pretend if you smash those two together, this is basically that movie. It's really just a light watch. It's something to just simply have fun with. Really your quintessential popcorn horror movie. But it's well acted, well shot. They do a great job of showing you the 1980s. It isn't really faithful, because if you were someone that was alive in the 80s, you know that this isn't exactly the real 80s. This is more of young people now, how they envision the 1980s, than it is the way the 80s actually were. But it doesn't change the fact that I thought it was a blast. It isn't really scary, and it does have quite a bit of humor in it. I wouldn't say it's silly though, it doesn't take it to that extreme, but it's definitely, like I said, a lighthearted kind of slasher. So if you haven't seen this one and you're looking to just have fun with something this weekend, I think it's a great pick.
You don't gotta be frightened. I'm not the boogeyman.
A House on the Bayou is a 2021 horror movie. Written and directed by Alex McCauley, it stars Paul Schneider, Angela Serafin, and Jacob Laughlin. It's about a troubled couple and their teen daughter who go on vacation to an isolated house on the bayou. When unexpected strangers arrive, their facade of family unity starts to unravel as terrifying secrets come to light.
The devil is watching us all the time. Some of us invite him in, some don't.
Well, no offense, but I don't believe in the devil.
The devil believes in you.
I find it really odd how two of the movies on this list are both Blumhouse. This one and Totally Killer, the one I talked about prior to this. They're both Blumhouse releases that were both straight to streaming. And to be honest, in my opinion anyway, they're two of the best Blumhouse movies to be released in the last few years. I don't know who they have over there deciding these things, but both these movies should have been theatrical releases. Instead, we get movies like Imaginary and Night Swim. Like, I just don't get it. But anyway, I think this movie is great. It's very mysterious, very creepy. It takes some really interesting twists and turns throughout it, where you think you're watching one kind of movie and then it changes and morphs into something different. But it gets moody, atmospheric, uncomfortable. There's some really awkward, disturbing, creepy moments throughout this. But it's well performed. This whole cast do a fantastic job. And it's really surprising how little I hear people talk about this movie. But I think it's a perfect pick for this weekend. So do yourself a favor, pick one of the movies off of this list, grab your popcorn and your candy, and enjoy! And I want to give a huge, massive, enormous thank you to the Ghost Pirate crew, to you guys over on Patreon, and to the channel members over here. You guys mean so much to me. And if you would like to help support this channel over on Patreon, there's a link down in the description. Or if you want to become a channel member and help out the channel that way, there's a button right down there that says join. But like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, horror can be fun. And if you enjoy this, click right here to watch me talk about 10 more movies that I think you'll enjoy. And I'll see you guys next time.